I'd like to be the guy that comes up with the vaccine.
Okay, and we're good on?
Yep, we're good to go.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Jen, you want to take roll call?
Michelle, Commissioner Thill,
Here.
Commissioner Waldner,
Here.
Commissioner Shaw,
Here.
Commissioner Wire,
Here.
Mayor Denner.
Here. We have the agenda in front of us. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So move.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any further comments or discussion? Not hearing
Mr.
it.
Mayor,
Yep.
for this evening, would you repeat and make those motions for me, please?
Yes. Commissioner Shaw
Yep.
made the motion, and Commissioner Thill seconded it.
Thank you.
Yep. If you want to take the roll call vote?
Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Thill,
Aye.
Commissioner Wire,
Aye.
Mayor Denner.
Aye. Not seeing anything under appearance and acknowledgement, we'll move down into the consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So approved.
Second, Commissioner Shaw.
I have a motion by Commissioner Thill and a second by Commissioner Shaw for the approve the consent calendar. Is there any more comment or discussion? Not hearing any. Jen, will you take roll call vote?
Commissioner Wire,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Thill,
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner.
Aye.
Mayor Denner.
Aye. Unfinished. We tabled item number 1. Do I have a motion to take this item off the table so we can discuss it?
Commissioner Shaw will make the motion to take it off the table.
Wire second.
Any further comment or discussion? Not hearing any. Jen, will you take roll call vote on the removing it from the table?
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Thill,
Aye.
Commissioner Wire,
Aye.
and Mayor Denner.
Aye. Okay. Chad, you want to bring us up to speed on item number 1, approve second reading ordinance number 1623, amend Appendix B zoning, Article 2, District Regulations, Section 17.16.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, and members of the public. If I may comment, included in the agenda packet is just the one-page ordinance 1623. A little bit of background, and then I'll get into the current discussion. This item was before the Planning Commission originally, where they held a hearing and they recommended approval to the City Commission. And then this did come before the City Commission for a first reading on June 15th, as you can see on the document in the agenda. There was a second reading and a hearing conducted 2 weeks after the 15th, so I suppose that would be June 29th. There was a few questions, and so at that point it was tabled. You all know that. You just took it off the table here today. So the hearing was accomplished, and since that time I have had a chance to visit with Mr. Lawrence, our utility director, and Mr. Jenks, our city attorney, to discuss this matter. And after that discussion, a few words were recommended to be added and to amend this ordinance, and you can see that in the underlying text on the document included in the agenda packet. It has to do with an additional definition or clarification on the item of a shoebox style lighting when we added the dark sky friendly language. That in essence what we're trying to do is make sure if lighting is installed in a residential area that there's no light pollution, I think you can refer to it as, beyond the property lines, and it's more down directly onto the parking lot, so it doesn't disturb neighbors, among other things. And so that additional language was added, and then the single word provided was added, which you can see is underlined as well, to try to add some additional clarity for that. Mr. Jinks thought it was appropriate that we did not have to re-advertise and have another hearing, that the hearing that was held satisfied the requirements of the statutes to have, which is required to have by the city commission. And then also in collaboration with Mr. Lawrence, we're comfortable with the language that's shown in here in the ordinance. Just briefly on the ordinance itself, I kind of jumped into some of the edits, but this ordinance is intended to better define the conditions for putting parking lots in a residential area. I'll just suffice it to leave it at that. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any, and otherwise I would recommend that you approve second reading.
Mr. Comus, I have one. Now, as the ordinance states, it is a conditional use, so anybody that wants to put off-street parking in a residential, they will have to come in front of the planning commissioner, right?
Yes, sir. It is
Okay.
Conditional uses and variances are described as appeals to the Board of Adjustment, where they act in a quasi-judicial function format, and we have a process that's outlined for that, and right now the Board of Adjustment is defined as the Planning Commission, so that is correct.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve second reading ordinance number 1623, amend Appendix B zoning Article 2 District Regulation Section 1716?
So moved.
Move, Waldner.
Second. Wire.
Did you get those, Jen?
I got him, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Is there any other further comments or discussion? Not hearing any. Jen, will you take roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Wire,
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Thill,
Aye.
Mayor Danner.
Aye. We'll move down into new business. We have Dennis here from Banner Associates. We'll let Dennis or Chad talk about the item number 1, authorize the mayor to sign amendment number 2 to professional service agreement, Banner Association, Inc., water system improvement project.
Dennis, if it's all right, I can start, and then either you or Director Lawrence can also fill in if that's acceptable to parties. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Ted. Yep, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the commission. Included in the agenda packet is a 2-page document with the description amendment to owner engineer agreement, amendment number 2, and it's a very short amendment for this. And maybe before I get into the document itself, which is relatively simple and self-explanatory, this amendment was precipitated by the fact that the water tower was moved from the original contemplated location. The original contemplated location was in the same location as what we refer to where the Northwest Tower is now. That's at the corner of 4th and Union, essentially. So the tower was moved to the Lakeview Industrial Park after much review and investigation. Long story short is that we believe that the distribution system will still function adequately and properly with that tower in that location, but that new location, Lakeview Industrial Park, will help serve potential future larger users better than it would be putting it into that location. So again, that's why the tower move was precipitated. That had been decided quite some time ago, and the commission had reviewed and approved that, basically. So what this amendment does is there needs to be a line connected to the tower, basically. That was never included in the original preliminary engineering report. I'll refer to that as the PER from here forward, but it was never included in the PER, nor was it talked about in any of the, it was talked about in the PER, and the cost was included in the project, but it wasn't changed in the design agreements. In other words, we didn't have Banner hired to design and do the construction administration for the loop line. And that's essentially what this amendment does. The project has to be, there has to be surveying and preliminary engineering and final engineering, and then the preparation of the bidding documents. And then, of course, once it's bid, it would need to be the construction administration portion. And all those things, all those services need to be accomplished in accordance with rural development policies and procedures, I guess I'll just put it that way, if the funds for that come from rural development. That tower loop line is included in the PER as an alternate, and part of the reason, briefly to discuss alternates, part of the reason we put alternates into the preliminary engineering report is we have grant dollars for that project. Is it 1 or 2 million? Why am I drawing a blank?
2 million.
2 million. And the grant dollars are the dollars we use last. And so we wanted to make sure we had enough projects as alternates included to utilize every penny of our grant dollars. Should we not award it, we may have to fund this with local dollars, and there may be some. Initially, it would have to be funded by the city, but there may be some opportunities to recoup some or all the costs, probably some, that depends on a future discussion with the commission, to recoup some of those costs with the developer in the area, which is Unitary Improvement Corporation. And that in part would be due to some cost savings by eliminating some potential infrastructure they would have to install as a developer. Instead of installing 2 redundant lines, the loop line and this other line, would potentially allow them to eliminate their line, and they could put some of the costs that they save towards this tower loop line. So with that, I kind of got going a little bit. So did I miss anything, Brad or Dennis, on that?
I think just to summarize is that if we want to make this part of the project eligible, it has to be amended, and we have to include it in our current engineering agreements so that we could utilize the funds from rural development. That's the thrust of all of this.
Yep.
There's a lot of moving parts, but that's if you want to know the Reader's Digest version, that's the Reader's Digest version.
And just if I may add as well, Chad, Brad, this is one of the talking points we have with rural development with respect to the water tower as well. Wanting to make sure that the tower loop line is in place, in service, prior to the tower being.
Yes, I believe tentatively we have to meet and work out the details. The completion of this line would likely be by the end of 2021. But we have to work out some of those details as well. Certainly, it would need to be well before the tower is completed, so they can do their testing and so on, and then of course, operate the tower.
Correct. That date will be set. It has not been set yet, but right. It has to be prior to operational, the tower being operational.
This might be a question for the future, but what's the elevation between the tower out at by the cemetery and this tower here going to be?
I know the answer to that, but I'll let Dennis say that. He can say it better than I can.
I don't remember the exact elevation with respect to mean sea level, but they will operate at the same water elevation. So both towers will float together, so the water level in each tower is designed to be the same.
Because I know when this other tower was built, we we had a little problem, we got it taken care of, but it still ended up being a mess.
Well, the old tower, the one that is being replaced, operates 25 foot lower than the northeast tower.
Yeah,
And as a result of that, you have to operate a split distribution system where you have two different pressure zones. With the new industrial park tower, that elevation difference is being addressed, and you'll operate on a single pressure zone across the city.
And that, Commissioner Thill, is the issue you're referring to.
Yeah.
We're eliminating
yeah,
that issue that we've had for, 25 years.
yeah.
30 years, actually. Well,
Aside from everything else, that having that one zone is a huge benefit and huge reason for putting that water tower out there.
Yes, there is no doubt. A lot of the issues we have with the split zones right now is in order to accomplish that, you have to separate one zone from the next. So you have to close valves in the distribution system to accomplish that. And with the single zone, all of that will be able to be opened up. Plus, with all of the water main improvements that are being made in that northwest, we'll call it the north central part of town, is going to have a huge impact on water quality, water pressure, and available fire.
Do I have a motion to authorize the mayor to sign amendment number 2 to professional service agreement, Banner Association, Inc., Water System Improvement Project?
So moved. Wire.
Waldner.
Any further comments, discussion? Not hearing any. Jen, you want to take a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Thill?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallner?
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw?
Aye.
Commissioner Ware?
Aye.
Mayor Danner?
Aye. Chad and Dennis, item number 2, authorize the mayor to sign professional service agreement, Banner Associate, Inc., Sanitary Sewer System Improvement Project.
thank you, Your Honor, members of the commission, members of the public online. I will say, this is Chad Colmus, I will say a few words about this and let others fill in any blanks that I may have missed. This item, in the agenda packet, there's 65 pages for this professional service agreement for the sanitary sewer improvement project related to the rural development project. And before, I might take a brief aside, in part due to some of the new commissioners, I'm sure you've been able to follow over the couple years that this has been ongoing, but I may talk about a few reasons for this. The rural development project, what we commonly refer to it as, was started with the water improvements, which includes the tower that we just talked about, but then many distribution line improvements that we have in various locations in town. And so as we started working through the design phases of that project, we started asking ourselves, what do we want to do with the streets when we're in these particular areas, tearing up the streets to put in new water lines. And naturally, the discussion came up about the existing sanitary sewer service lines and then any storm sewer lines in the area. And it was discussed and decided that it's appropriate to improve this. Well, we're there working, tearing up the streets for the water lines, that if there's sanitary sewer lines that need to be excavated and storm sewer, we would do that at that time. So we started working with rural development and our steering, I'll call them a steering committee, the utilities commissioner, the mayor, and then staff from Banner and the city and so on is generally that group. So we started working on a plan at that time for improving coming up, identify costs, identify locations for the sanitary sewer and the storm sewer. And that precipitated an application for funding for a portion of the project to accomplish that. The water project was divided in 3 phases, phase 1A, 1B, and 2. For the distribution lines, of course, then the water tower was on the side. As we started working on preparing an application for funding for the sanitary sewer and the storm sewer, we realized that we had started working already at that point on phase 1A, and the city opted to fund phase 1A, the sanitary and the storm sewer. For that project, we self-funded. In other words, incorporated into our infrastructure plans, not apply for funding from SRF, state revolving loan funds from the state of South Dakota, or USDA rural development from them. We self-funded that. So, and that's the project that's ongoing right now, phase 1A. Phase 1B and phase 2, we weren't able to financially self-fund that, so we completed some applications to USDA rural development and South Dakota DENR for state revolving loan funds, and as part of those applications, you have to prepare preliminary engineering reports. Those were accomplished and submitted and ultimately accepted by rural development. The city commission has approved a letter of conditions because the city opted to go with the rural development funding source, and so that has happened recently. As of May 11th is when the letter of conditions and the letter of intent was approved by the city commission to utilize rural development funds for phase 1A, or excuse me, phase 1B and phase 2. So now we are at a point where we need to design. We're looking to try to bid those projects in January, February or so of 2021, and we need to get started with the design. That's what this agreement is for. This particular one is for the sanitary sewer. It's for both the design and the construction administration. Briefly about the format of these documents, I mentioned these are 65 pages of documents. The rural development is pretty stringent on the format of these documents, and we have to use these documents that you see included in the agenda packet. And we have to hire, Banner as the engineer. Well, we don't have to hire Banner, but we have to hire an engineer to do that work, both the design and the construction administration. This agreement is for both the design and the construction administration for the sanitary sewer. It includes about $453,000 is the limiting fee for that. The project cost, including this 453, is about $3.2 million. That was identified in the letter of conditions, the LOC that was approved in May. So with that as a kind of a brief overview, semi-brief anyway, and so before you is the service agreement to hire Banner to start doing the work on phase 1B and phase 2. With that, I'd be happy to stand by for questions, or if Mr. Lawrence wants to summarize all my rambling, or Dennis needs to elaborate farther, I would entertain that as well.
Okay. Do I have a motion to authorize the mayor to sign professional service agreement, Banner Associate Inc., sanitary sewer system improvement project?
So moved, Commissioner Shaw.
Second, Walter.
Okay. I have one comment. After visiting with Toby Morris and Jen and myself, we had some concerns, a couple items in the agreement. Chad reached out to Dennis at Banner, and we worked on a couple items. And I'm happy to say that our friends from Banner had done some reworking of the contract, and we come up with a little bit better price than what was in the draft. So thank you, Dennis, on that work.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Is there any other comments, concerns? Not hearing any. Jen, you want to take roll call vote?
Commissioner Ware,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Thill,
Aye.
Mayor Dinner.
Aye. Chad, you want to start us off on authorize the mayor to sign RUS certification page, RUS Bulletin 1780-26, Banner Association, Inc., Sanitary Sewer System Improvement Project.
Yeah, I can say a few words, and then I may invite Dennis to speak about this as well. But this is certification required by rural development that basically says we have used these EJCDC contract documents. I should tell you what EJCDC stands for, so everybody's wondering what that is. Apologize here, let me get to that page. Engineers Joint Contract Documents Committee. So anyway, it basically says we had to use these documents, and Banner has made any changes to them as prescribed by RD. And with that, I'll just let Dennis, is there anything more you want to say about that, Dennis, to clarify this, what this purpose of this form is for?
You're exactly right, Chad. It's just a certification of essentially just what you said. That we use those documents, and it summarizes the basic services, the RPR, and the additional services in a nice, clean location for rural development to look at. And what is presented on these, this form in particular, is exactly what is in here. So there's no new information presented in here. It's just in a more concise way.
Do I have a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the RUS certification page, RUS Bulletin 1780-26, Banner Associate, Inc., Sanitary Sewer System Improvement Project?
So approved by Thill.
Second, Wire.
Any further comment, discussion? Not hearing any. Jen, will you take roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Ware,
Aye.
Commissioner Thill,
Aye.
Mayor Dinner.
Aye. Chad, number 4, authorize the mayor to sign professional service agreement Banner Associate, Inc., Storm Sewer System Improvement Project.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the commission and members of the public listening. Thank you. This item number 4 on the agenda, it also includes a contract which is 65 pages. The exact contract as what we had reviewed a few moments ago, except for this one includes the particulars for the storm sewer portion of phase 1B and 2 of our what we refer to as the rural development project. The work in this is for $456,000, and the overall project, including this amount, is $3.43 million for the storm sewer portion. With that, I will not repeat everything that I did with item number 2, but it is similar, but just for the storm sewer improvements.
Do I have a motion to approve mayor to sign professional service agreement Banner Associate, Inc., Storm Sewer System Improvement Project?
So move, Commissioner Shaw.
So move.
I'll,
Shaw got the motion, Waldner will second it.
Okay. Any further Comments, discussion.
I should say, if I may,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, rural development, the staff has to concur with these agreements. So promptly upon your signature, presumably this is approved as well, we will forward them to rural development. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get approved. With our water agreement, we proceeded with the work prior to getting the concurrence. It was a calculated risk, if you will, and planned, but time was of the essence to start. So that we may proceed in the same fashion with this as well. We want to try to make sure we hold to the anticipated bid date in, I believe we're in February right now is where we're thinking about, 6 months from now. So I just wanted to make that known as well,
Okay.
because that's a subsequent step. They have to concur with this.
Any further comment, discussion? Not hearing any. Jen, will you take roll call vote?
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Wire,
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Thel,
Aye.
Mayor Denner.
Aye. Number 5, Chad, authorize the mayor to sign RUS certification page, RUS, Bulletin 1780-26, Banner Association, Inc., Storm Sewer System Improvement Project.
Thank you, Your Honor. Included in the agenda packet are 2 pages for this form. This is a similar form that you recently just considered for the sanitary sewer project, but this is for the storm sewer project. I would recommend approval.
So move, Waldner.
Second, Shaw.
Any further comments, discussion? Not hearing any. Jen, will you take roll call vote?
Commissioner Thel,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Wire,
Aye.
Mayor Denner.
Aye. Number 6, Chad, set bid date of August 11th, 2020, Water System Improvement Project, 750,000 gallon water tower.
Thank you, Your Honor, members of the commission, members of the public listening online. Included in the agenda packet is said advertisements, 2 pages. This will commence the process of bidding for the water tower. Recently, we received, I think they call it concurrence, authorization approval from rural development to proceed with advertising after they had reviewed the plans and specifications. And so this will get that project out to bidders, and the bid date to open the bids, as you had mentioned, is August 11th, 2020, and the time to submit the bids is 11 a.m.
Do I have a motion to set bid date of August 11th, 2020, 11 a.m., Water System Improvement Project, 750,000 gallon water tower?
So move, Waldner.
Second, Wire.
Any further comments? Dennis, did you have anything on this?
I don't have anything to add regarding the tower bid date, but other than we are looking forward to getting that out in the public for bids.
Okay.
I will echo that as well, Dennis. This has been a long process, and it's fun to see that we can finally get to the bid date. So, and I mean, you guys, you know better than anybody all the paperwork and everything you've gone through, and to help the city get to this point. And there's been a lot of people working on it. So, this is exciting. It's a good time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comment, discussion? Not hearing any. Jen, will you take roll call vote?
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Walner,
Aye.
Commissioner Thel,
Aye.
Commissioner Wire,
Aye.
Mayor Dennert.
Aye. Item 7, Mr. Lawrence, you want to kind of speak on why we're using the sealed request for the proposal?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
First, I'd like to do just a short history for the new commissioners, so they weren't privy to the past, how we got where we're at. Basically, what the issue is that our meter reading system is at the end of life. And in order to replace it, we've got two options. One is a stopgap measure that continues kind of what we're doing now, which was a stopgap measure between manually reading the meters and an automated metering infrastructure system where we can read the meters remotely without having to send somebody out, vehicles or anything. And since we're coming to the end of that life, we started looking at the options, and we looked at the options of can an automated metering infrastructure system support itself on its own? Can we just use meter reading as a basis only to support that decision economically? And the study came back that no, that was not appropriate, that we'd lose $660,000 over the course of 10 years. So we went back to the drawing board, looked at it, said, okay, if we utilize that system to do more than just read meters, can we come up with business cases that would make it a net positive? And we did that analysis, added another 7 business cases to it. In this case, it would be remote connect and disconnect, conservation voltage reduction, and there's a whole host of them that we did. So those are the 2 big ones that really brought a lot of money into the system. And when we got done with that, we'd have a net. On those 7, there were roughly $2 million worth of positives. Minus the $600 for the negatives, we end up with a $1.4 million positive by doing this over the course of 10 years. And so we looked at that as the best way to move forward with our replacement system for the meter reading system. And it brings us into the 21st century where we can start doing some things over and above just reading meters with the same system. So we looked at the options. In state law, South Dakota State Law 5-18A-6, it talks about the ability to use competitive sealed proposals when the use of a competitive sealed bids is neither practical or advantageous. In this case, in order to get a sealed bid, we have to put out plans, specifications for every single thing that we want to specify. Well, this is an emerging technology field. These are things that are changing almost daily. And for us to know everything that everybody else has out there that's available and specify it and make it an open playing field would be almost impossible. So the idea that state law has is that if you have something that's complicated like this, where we're going to have probably 4, maybe 5 vendors provide all these different various technologies, that you can do a request for proposals. Let them do all the work of specifying what they're going to provide. We have to do an evaluation of it. And so that's kind of where we're at, and that's what this process is. And there's a justification letter in here. It says by law that we have to provide it in writing. There's no way for us to provide a specification that could be 100% inclusive and allow anybody and everybody to bid, because we couldn't specify all the different types of technologies. It's just not physically, or it might be physically possible, but by the time you got it done, it would all be out of date anyway. So it's one of those things that it's just not practical. With that said, we would like to request going out for proposals, and these would be sealed proposals, to be sent to the City of Madison on the 4th of August at 2 p.m. They'll be electronically sent in. The process is we would open the proposals and put them on a register. You don't really read the numbers because it's subject to negotiation. It's subject to evaluation. And so we just put them on a register that these are all the people that have said that they would provide this type of I want to say response to their proposal, request for proposals in that category. And there's, again, those 8 categories that we talked about. So that's the process. We'd like to advertise for bids just like we do, or advertise for proposals just like we do advertise for bids. State law, again, following that, provides for that. And this advertisement was looked at with multiple people to make sure that we weren't stepping outside of state law and are following this process. This is the first time we're going through this process, so we tried to make sure we did everything right and we're in agreement with state law. Are there any questions of me? Any money that we would do, and the reason we want to do this now, I should say, is we have a budget coming up, and we'd like to know what this is gonna cost. The intention is to try to have the numbers figured out by the end of August, so that we can look at that as a budgeting proposal, whether we do it in 2021 or spread it over a couple of years. We'll have to look at what those numbers are and what we can afford, but the idea was to get that in sooner. December 31st, 2021 is when our reading system loses all of its support. So if anything happens to it, then we don't have a way to read meters or to repair our meter reading equipment. So that's kind of the goal line that we have to get to. And so we're trying to do backwards planning and get this out soon enough to where we can get it in the budget and get it on the ground and working before we run out of support.
Do I have a motion to set request for proposal date August 4th, 2020, 2 p.m. For advanced metering infrastructure?
So moved, Wire.
Second, Waldner.
Is there any further comments or discussion?
Just one quick comment, and Brad and actually Commissioner Wire, you'll get a baptism by fire here, learning about all this new technology and stuff. But anything that we can do with technology to improve the process, not just for yourself, but also for your citizens. This is, it's maybe not perfect, but it certainly gets us down the right path. So, got some work ahead of us.
Any other comment, discussion? Not hearing any. Jen, will you take roll call?
Commissioner Thil,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Wire,
Aye.
Mayor Denner.
Aye. We have Nancy on the, thank you, Mr. Lawrence. We have Nancy on the go-to meeting. You want to bring us up to speed on number 8, ratify submission and authorize mayor to sign application risk assessment questionnaire, State of South Dakota CARES Act Library Technology Grant?
Sure. Back in May, the state library contacted us and said there was an option for some small grants for public libraries, and it was for technology as part of the CARES Act. We could apply for up to $2,000. So we had a technology plan in place, and one of the things in our plan was that we would like to have 4 internet hotspots that we could loan to individuals for like a week at a time. We know that there are places where the internet availability is not terrific in this area. We also know that there are any number of people with no internet access in the city of Madison because we see them sitting outside our building with their smartphones on the library's wireless, since it stretches outside the building to the streets and behind the building to the gazebo, and it's heavily used. So we thought that for somebody who's doing a class, or maybe somebody who has some family coming and they want a chance to connect with family members somewhere else, but are not internet users, this might be beneficial for them. So we applied for $2,000 for those internet hotspots, and I've been informed that we have the grant, and we just need this risk assessment signed and returned to the state library, and we will be good to go.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to ratify submission and authorize the mayor to sign applicant risk assessment questionnaire, State of South Dakota CARES Act Library Technology Grant?
So moved, Commissioner Shaw.
Second by Commissioner Thill.
Any further comments or discussion?
I just have a quick question, if I may, Mr. Mayor, for
Yep.
Nancy. So this grant covers the devices themselves, or who pays the ongoing monthly fee for this then?
At this point, at least until the beginning of 2021, there is no ongoing monthly fee if we use the Verizon plan. They have waived that fee. So I've included it in my 2021 budget request just in case they don't extend that. But if they do, then good for us anyway. But
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Any further comments, discussion, questions? Not hearing any. Jen, will you take roll call vote?
Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Bill,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Wire,
Aye.
Mayor Denner.
Aye. Public comments, Lexi?
None on the sheet, and I don't know if we have anybody online that would like to make any public comment.
None? Okay. Announcements? Not hearing any. Do I have a motion to proceed into executive session?
So moved. Commissioner Shaw.
Second, Wire.
Jen, you want to take roll call vote on that, please?
Sure, why not? Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Thill,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Wire,
Aye.
and Mayor Denner.
Aye. I do believe, Lexi, you sent out a new go-to meeting